Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the source material for a traveler's guide to one of the most wildly complex, beautiful, and straight-up dangerous planetary ecosystems in all of sci-fi lore, Yaenddarr. Okay, let's dive into this.
Now, world building this dense, it absolutely requires a structured map. So today we're going to cover Welcome to Yaenddarr, Death as a Curriculum, the Evolutionary Crucibles, Cities of Chaos, and finally, the Avitoric Trials.
All right, let's jump into Section 1. Welcome to Yaenddarr, the Cradle of Life.
To really wrap our heads around Yaenddarr's origins, we kind of need to contrast it with its polar opposite, planet Koa. Yaenddarr is known as the Cradle of Life. It's bathed in this gentle glow of a lunar star and guarded by beings called Sylvans. It is a world entirely driven by organic, nature-based magic and just wild, constant evolution. On the exact opposite end of the spectrum, you've got planet Koa, the Forge of Order. Koa operates under a technological star, and it's run by mechanoids based on incredibly precise, caste-based logic. So where Koa is all about calculated efficiency, Yaenddarr is just sheer, chaotic, vibrant life.
And speaking of that life, there is a surprisingly low number you really need to know, and that's 14. Yep, just 14. That represents the total remaining human population on all of Yaenddarr. You see, because of a deep history of conflict, most humans actually underwent interspecies surgery to transition into other life forms just to integrate peacefully. So remember, as we go through this, you are very much an off-worlder here. The rules you're used to, they literally do not apply.
Moving right along to Section 2. Death is a Curriculum, the Rules of Return. Now, what's really interesting about this is
Death on Yaenddarr is not an ending. It is a curriculum, a sorting mechanism, and a planetary contract. Man, I absolutely love this concept. Dying here isn't permanent at all. It's literally a system designed to teach the soul lessons of fear, acceptance, and resolution. Death here is actually highly structured.
So, how do you come back? Well, let's walk through the 3 distinct paths back to life. The path you end up on depends entirely on how you died, your cultural alignment, and what actually happens to your physical body. First up, we have the Elixir Waters. This triggers a sacred automatic waterborne rebirth that refreshes the soul. Second, there's the Darkwood Cycle, which is a universal cremation path acting as basically an orientation for the soul. And third is the Eunuch's Revival, a super rare medical body restart performed by a mythic scholar caste of Aeon beings.
Which brings us to a crucial and frankly pretty ominous question for anyone visiting this planet. What happens when an off-worlder dies and is placed in the sacred Elixir Waters?
Well, the answer is the creation of something called Ixor. Here's the deal. The Elixir Waters purify a soul by stripping away its trauma. Native trauma is manageable for the planet, but off-worlders, we carry unresolved trauma from our home planets. So when the water strips an off-worlder, it creates Ixor. This is a hyper-corrupted, alien, incredibly unstable energy. This Ixor forms inkwells that birth these violently unstable entities known as shadows. And this is exactly why planetary survival dictates that all off-worlders absolutely must be cremated, no exceptions.
This naturally leads us to Section 3, the Evolutionary Crucibles, where death feeds life. Let's see how that Ixor actually shapes the planet. First up is the savage jungle. I want you to imagine walking into a prehistoric furnace. The air is so incredibly thick with humidity, spores, and this golden solar star mist that unprepared beings can literally suffocate in minutes, or honestly, even ignite. And the gravity here is crushing. It gets heavier and heavier with every bit of Ixor death filtered into the soil. Essentially, the jungle acts as the planet's massive pressure valve to contain all that corruption.
And just think about the wildly varied, rapidly mutating apex species that are forced to thrive in this environment. We're talking draconians, lightning-charged thunder apes, arachnophae, werebeasts, savage pheras, and saber-toothed direcats. They're forced to evolve at breakneck speeds just to combat the heat, the gravity, and those shadows we mentioned. Surviving a single day among these walking myths, that's considered legendary.
Contrasting that dense jungle is the wildling field. Out here, the grass itself is razor-sharp and brittle. Right in the center sits the wasteland battlefield. It's a cracked arena where the orbiting solar star can cause temperatures to spike to 180 degrees in a matter of minutes. This isn't just an ecosystem. It is a crucible of ritualistic combat. Species like Ferris and Direcats literally mutate and evolve mid-battle through sheer bloodshed. It's intense.
All right, let's move to Section 4, Cities of Chaos, Culture and Survival.
and see how this all builds up into civilization. Let's compare 3 of these chaotic cities with vastly different vibes and see how their unique atmospheres completely shape the lives of the people living there. First, Cosmosis gives you that gritty, neon-lit cyberpunk Final Fantasy VII kind of energy. Then you have Autumn Falls, which operates like a literal romantic soap opera. Heartbreak and gossip are considered high culture there. And finally, there's Summer Bay. Think of it as an eternal, wild 1980s beach party where the whole motto is just cut loose and let your hair down.
If we zoom in on Cosmosis for a second, there is a stark social divide. You've got the neon-lit upper level, famous for its massive coliseums and crazy roof parties. But right below a deadly layer of fog sits the lower-level slums, this lawless, Mad Max-style urban grid. A lot of people on the ground level don't even know the upper level exists. Yet, despite this massive vertical separation, both levels are fiercely connected by the universal pursuit of entertainment and a highly valuable digital currency known simply as credit.
Oh, and we definitely have to talk about Phantasm. This city is essentially Vegas for the dead. It's this chaotic, totally indulgent afterlife metropolis where vampires, werewolves, ghosts, and ghouls live completely ordinary lives. They hold jobs and coexist in total peace. But there is a massive catch. Living humans are strictly forbidden from entering. Seriously. The undead residents actually hold deep PTSD from the disparities and conflicts caused by humans back on Earth, proving that their harmony relies entirely on humans staying out.
Finally, we reach Section 5, the Avataric Trials, Cosmic Overseers. Let's look at the highest metaphysical level of this lore.
At the very top of the cosmic hierarchy, the system is governed by an avataric astroglyph structure. And this brilliantly illustrates how the whole ecosystem is maintained. It outlines the avatars, their ruling planetary bodies and astrological signs, their specific jobs in maintaining the planetary spiral, and the really intense ascension trials they have to endure just to keep the whole planet from collapsing.
Let's highlight a few of the key avatars and their intense relational glyphs. We have Dante, the Ego Flamebearer, whose power is intimately bound to Alexa, the Mirror Sovereign Arbiter who judges romantic glyphs. Then there's Apex, the Rupture Sovereign, who triggers planetary trials, and he's heavily monitored by Magivic, the Trickster Stabilizer. The really fascinating takeaway here is that their personal trials and relationships literally stabilize or rupture the physical planet itself. Talk about high stakes.
So, we've explored the map, we've seen the brutal jungle, the wild cities, and the cosmic avatars overhead. I want to leave you with the ultimate question posed by this source material. If you ever face the trials of Yaenddarr, what would your curriculum teach the Spiral? Keep that in mind, stay curious, and thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.